Hey everyone, Chad Kaler, field agronomist for Beck's Hybrids in East Central Northeast Illinois. Today I want to visit with you about some timely topics that I think about over the next upcoming 4 weeks. Here as we sit June 23rd, 2023, we've had a lot of drought-induced issues around the territory. You know, the last 12 months there's been a lot of places that really haven't had much rainfall. And you know, this first all started this spring with a lot of herbicide carryover issues, and also herbicide load issues as far as on lighter soils, causing reduced stands, and specifically in soybeans. So as we look towards the next 4 weeks, you know, there's some things that I think we need to be vigilant on. First of all, we can't just call it quits on managing our crop. You know, we could get timely rains, and for corn, you know, it's most important to have those timely rains around pollination time. You know, 5 days before, 5 days after that crop is pollinating. Soybeans, it's more important in August. But as I think about these next 4 weeks, up until about the 3rd or 4th week into July, you know, we need to think about some things. You know, one thing I think about first is corn rootworm beetles, potential for insects. You know, if we think about whenever corn rootworm larvae in the soil have the highest potential mortality, it's whenever we have those eggs that have hatched into larvae, which is usually late May, early June, and then we have saturated soil conditions. This year we just did not have that across the majority of our area. So I expect, especially north of I-80, that we'll probably see a higher potential for increased population numbers of corn rootworm beetles in our cornfields. So be vigilant about that. The second insect I want to bring to your attention that I think could cause some issues this year, especially if it stays dry, would be Japanese beetles. Now, Japanese beetles, right now, they've been hanging out in cornfields, hoping that they'll find some tassels and silks to feed on. One thing to remember about those silk clipping insects, whether it be Japanese beetles in corn or rootworm beetles in corn, if pollination is not yet complete and those silk clipping insects have ate that silk back to about a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch to the tip of the ear, then we need to spray. The third insect I think could be a problem. If it does stay dry and the weather pattern doesn't turn wetter, we could see an issue with spider mites in soybeans. I know of some places and some fields that have been sprayed already for spider mites in those extremely dry conditions. That is something to be vigilant about on soybeans. Even at a young stage, we can see spider mite damage there. So those are 3 insects that I think, in my opinion, over the next upcoming 4 weeks time frame that we could be seeing a potential of. Now, those are all have fairly good control with products such as like Warrior or even Capture. So even the thrins, or the cyhalothrins, the lambda cyhalothrins, the zeta cyhalothrins, the permethrins, a lot of those active ingredients that end in thrin, or even bifenthrin, which would be like a Capture type product. There's products out there that, you know, you can get those for about $2 to $4 an acre, depending upon the use rate and the insect that you're going after. If you get the email that is attached to this video, you'll see there are some resources at the bottom that you can click on that are available for you to look at as far as insect control recommendations in both corn and beans, looking at specific insects. So take a look at that information. Next, I want to just talk briefly about corn fungicides and soybean fungicides, and then I'll wrap it up with nutritionals. But as we sit today, we can't really make a decision and call it quits on our fungicide applications in corn and soybeans. We have to remain vigilant. We have to sit and basically wait. We can't say, no, we're not going to manage this crop through our harvest stage and through pollination and all the way to harvest, that we're going to just call it quits because of what lack of moisture we've had so far. We can still have good potential right now. We still do have good potential right now. If we get timely rainfall, that could turn us around. Great example would be last year. Fungicides, my top 3 picks in corn fungicides at VT to R1. If you have disease and you've gotten timely rainfalls within the next couple weeks or whenever your corn is pollinating, my top 3 recommended fungicides in corn, based on a lot of information, and one of those great sources is Beck's Practical Farm Research. I'm going to recommend Miravis Neo as one of those top products, also Veltima, and then also Trivapro. So one of those 3. Miravis Neo, Veltima, or Trivapro. In soybeans, I want to take a look at the top 3 products being Revitec, Miravis Top, or Trivapro. Again, Revitec, Miravis Top, or Trivapro. In corn specifically, if we think about that fungicide application, we don't have disease present at that VT to R1 stage, which has been that sweet spot for many years. If we don't have disease and we need to move that application back further after brown silk, say at the R3 stage in corn, after brown silk, and our pollination is already complete and we don't have problems with insects, we can take that insecticide out. Okay, that makes sense, I hope. And then on the nutritional side of things, I really want you to focus on boron. And I really think 10% boron product is the product to look for. There are products out there that have 5% and 8% boron, but I really want you to pick a 10% boron product if you're making a fungicide application along with insecticide or even without insecticide. In corn, I want you to use a pint per acre of that 10% boron product. In soybeans at R3, I want you to use 1 quart per acre of that 10% boron product with that fungicide application at R3. Hope that's useful information. If you have any questions, ask your local seed advisor or Beck's representative. Thank you very much.